Bench Mob, welcome back to the channel. So with the 2021 fantasy football season finally behind us, we now officially know which players were complete busts. Which players sold your season like it was a box of Girl Scout cookies to an unsuspecting Walmart customer just trying to get back to their car. In this video, I'm going to talk about who I believe were the top 5 busts of the fantasy football season, but that's not all. I also did some digging and I found some of the coldest takes about these players from the preseason. Now let me be very clear, this video is not intended to dunk on these guys for having these takes, because heading into the season, they weren't that crazy, and I actually agreed with some of them. Everyone gets stuff wrong when it comes to fantasy football. I mean, if you dig far enough back in my TikTok profile, you'll find me hyping up Mike Davis and Bryan Edwards. So the purpose of this video is just to show how far these players fell short of expectations, and maybe to get a little chuckle out of how wrong these guys were. As always, be sure to like the video and subscribe so you never miss an upload like this, and ring that little bell too so you get notified as soon as it drops. All right, here we go. The top 5 busts of the fantasy football season. Number 5, Myles Gaskin.
Myles Gaskin is the fantasy MVP. So I think Gaskin is going to have a monster season.
I don't know that you're going to get a better value in drafts than you are with a guy like Myles Gaskin.
But the volume and the efficiency makes him a safe bet. 5th round is ridiculous value for a locked-in, to me, top 16 running back, assuming good health.
A locked-in top 16 running back, assuming good health. Well, Gaskin stayed healthy. And sucked.
I literally guarantee he has at least 300 touches, and I'd be surprised if he had less than like 320.
Guaranteed 300 touches, and he'd be surprised if he had less than 320. Let me say this very clearly so we all understand. Myles Gaskin played every game. And Bladen, you said you'd be surprised if he had less than 320 touches. Well, how does 222 sound? Again, for a guy that played every game. And really quickly, this is why Myles Gaskin might be the most annoying player in all of fantasy football, because not only did he string us along with good performances this year out of nowhere and make us think, oh, maybe we should start him, just for him to crash and burn the following week, but he might trick people next year too, because despite how bad he was RB 41 on a points per game basis. He actually finished as RB 25 on the season, just because he played every game and dinked and dunked his way up the ladder with 5 points here and 6 points there. Just brutal. RB25 suggests that he was a startable player in 12-team leagues every week, either as an RB2 or a flex. I'm here to tell you what you probably already know, and that's that no, he was not. Consider this my official PSA. Do not fall for the Myles trash can experience again next year. Number 4, Kenny Golladay.
I'm not mad about grabbing a Kenny Golladay as my wide receiver 1 or my wide receiver 2, knowing you're getting 1,108, okay?
1,108, huh? 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns. All right, you know what? Let's crunch the numbers real quick. All right, so carry the 2, multiply by Joe Judge being a moron, divide by Daniel Jones. Yep, exactly what I thought. No.
So there should really be no reason to hesitate with drafting one of the more elite wide receivers in the NFL. He is in a situation in which he should be peppered heavily with targets. I mean, why wouldn't he be?
Why wouldn't he? Great question. Well, he wasn't. Golladay did miss a few games with injury, so we won't go off total targets. Let's go by targets per game. On a per game basis, Golladay was 78th in targets, behind the likes of Rashad Bateman, Tyler Higbee, Cole Kmet, and 5 different running backs. Heading into the season, any optimism that we had for Kenny Golladay was based on a few things. The hope that Daniel Jones would maybe take a step forward, the hope that Saquon Barkley would return to form and take some pressure off the passing game, and if all else fails, Golladay would be the alpha receiver on a team that would have a ton of garbage time. Well, Jones stunk, Saquon stunk, and thanks to Joe Judge's incompetence, the Giants weren't even good in garbage time. With a new coach and GM, maybe things will be different next year, but knowing the Giants, they'll just hire Bill O'Brien, he'll trade Saquon for a toaster, and that'll be that. Number 3, Miles Sanders.
I think there's reason for optimism with Sanders, and I'm not worried about like Boston Scott stealing a ton of work from him, right? He's clearly their best talent.
Not worried about Boston, huh? Yeah, as a Yankees fan, I've said that a lot over the years, and ever since 2009, it hasn't worked out so great for me either. That guy that we weren't worried about had a career-high 87 carries and 7 touchdowns, while Miles Sanders had the same amount of touchdowns as me and you.
Sanders was on the field for nearly 75% of snaps last year, and I don't see that changing dramatically because of some new faces, Nick Sirianni or anything else.
Sanders only played 75% of snaps in 2 games this year, and every other game was 67% or lower. Why? Well, it was really a team effort to ruin Miles Sanders' value this year. Early in the season, it was Kenneth Gainwell taking snaps, then it was our old friend Boston Scott, and then it was our old friend Jordan Howard. Because of course, we really needed him to come back and complicate things even more. Number 2, Saquon Barkley.
I will draw the line at Jonathan Taylor. I'm not going to take Jonathan Taylor before Saquon, and I've seen that in a few drafts.
Am I worried? No. Jake, no. It's
Not at all.
Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
This is the prodigy son.
Prodigy son? I'm not sure that's how that one goes, but continue.
I think that he has 1,400-yard season easily in his
Total
range of
or
outcome.
rushing?
I'll say rushing. I think he could have an Adrian Peterson-esque comeback this season.
You know, you could see him thinking about it. He almost said 1,400 yards total, but instead he said, nah, I'm going all the way, 1,400 yards rushing alone. Well, if it makes him feel any better, Saquon was not remotely close either way. And as far as the Adrian Peterson comparison, you know, Saquon did look a lot like AP this year. Current AP. The washed up version that played with the Seahawks for a game. Already talked about what a dumpster fire the Giants were on every front this year, so much like Golladay, hopefully things go better for Saquon next season. Because as of now, he's about halfway done anamorphing into Trent Richardson. And number one, if you watched my Fantasy Football Awards video, you already know who this is, Allen Robinson.
Allen Robinson is just a shoe-in to, we already know, he's the wide receiver 11 on the year. I don't need to watch the next 16, 17 weeks of the season. I already know what he's going to finish as. He's going to be 90 for 1,208 touchdowns. No matter what.
No matter what. Unless he just decides to stink. Inexplicably. I mean, yeah, he had mediocre quarterback play and bad coaching, but that's pretty much the Allen Robinson starter pack at this point, and he's always produced in the past. You know, this guy did say one smart thing, though, about not watching the next 16 or 17 weeks of the season, because if you were an Allen Robinson owner, it was probably in your best interest to not watch the games. Or follow fantasy football in general.
He demands the ball so much that he can't really finish outside of wide receiver 15. Like, he's like wide receiver 10 to 15. He's as safe a wide receiver as there is.
Ah, yes, safe. The word that Allen Robinson may have single-handedly put into retirement in the fantasy football community. How do we ever call a player safe again if Mr. Reliable, Allen Robinson, guy who put up numbers with Bortles, Henne, and Trubisky, just falls off the face of the earth? Wide receiver 83, man. 83. Full disclosure, yes, I drafted Allen Robinson and will probably have fantasy PTSD for it for the rest of my life. Yay. There you have it. Those are some of the coldest takes from this fantasy football season. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit that like button for me. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Bench Mob, I love you. I will see you guys next time.